Okay, looking for Lauren. Siobhan, I can see your little noggin in the background. I don't know why that was funny to me.
You don't know. That was funny.
Where's Lauren? Siobhan, are you able to see this?
Yeah.
Okay. Ah, there's Lauren. Okay, I have to. Let's see. Approve. It's adding. Hi, Lynette. I was actually looking for my Justice for Lily t-shirt to wear for this, and I couldn't find it. So I do have her bracelet on. There she is. Hey, I've never seen a side by side before, and you're upside down, or you're sideways.
What's going
There you are.
My phone is screwing up because I am not in the thing on mine.
Now you're sideways again.
Oh, goodness.
You're using your iPhone, right?
Yeah.
So I just set mine up on its side and propped it on top of a fish tank.
I wish I could screenshot it and show you what I'm looking at because I don't know what it's doing.
It's working now. I can see you. Like, do you see yourself as you're not sideways?
I see my eye.
I see your
okay.
whole.
As long as it looks fine for everybody else.
Yeah,
I'm
it does. Everybody that can see Lauren normal, well, yeah, your mom just said it's good, so that's
Okay.
good. So as a lot of people are aware of, I actually have 211 friends that follow Justice for Lily, which a lot of those people have become personal friends of mine, thanks to you and Lily. So I don't know if a lot of people are already aware because you have over 100,000 people following her page, but there's a lot of people that aren't aware. And I always share Justice for Lily every year anyways, or Lily's story for Child Abuse Awareness Month every year anyways, because as you know, that's, well, as a lot of people know, that's a story that I've followed since, I don't know, like 2 weeks after I learned about it and everything happened. And I don't know, I've just made a lot of good friends from Lily. Now I only see your nose and your mouth. There you are. Poor Lauren. So we chatted briefly in Messenger, and so for the people that your mom said your eyes are cut, I can see her perfectly. So, Lynette, is she still cut off? Or can you see her whole face? I see everything. Lynette? I see you. Okay. So, I'm not sure exactly, like I told you, it's up to you what you all want to share about Lily's story. I always leave that up to the people because I don't want to upset people. And I'm not using these stories, like I'm using these stories for Child Abuse Awareness Month because I want to raise obviously awareness. So, but it's what you want to share. So do you want to share, like, you don't have to be detailed, but what happened with Lily?
Yep.
Okay.
So, Lily was born in May of 2008, and she was the most beautiful little girl in the whole world. Mm-hmm. And we, her father and I had split before she was born, and so we had a custody battle. He served me with papers for week on, week off custody when she was 9 days old, and I was completely devastated. That's a lot of people ask about postpartum, and I never I don't know if it was postpartum or what, but I was thrown into this battle right from the get-go, and it was awful. And his parents had always said that they wanted her, and he had said to me that he didn't know how to take care of a child. He didn't know anything about anything, so it scared the hell out of me.
Yeah.
So we started our court battle after that, and the judge was awful. He just tore me up and down on the stand, and I felt like we did everything right. We told the truth. We were good people, and he didn't see it that way. And so he told me that I should have never breastfed my child. He told me that when I had a year left of college till I got my bachelor's degree, he told me to quit school and get a job at McDonald's.
This is a judge.
And when money was never an issue, I was living with my parents. They supported me fully. I took care of Lily all the time. They never got to watch her. And get a job at McDonald's. What else did he say? He said if I wanted to be a single mom, I should have adopted a child. And I was I didn't want to be a mom at 20, but it's the life that I was given. And I loved every second of it with her. When you're so young, they take away your dreams, and that wasn't the case for her. She made my dreams come true.
You cut out just a tiny bit, Lauren, when you were saying something regarding you're cutting out. When you started, can you hear me okay?
Let me see if I can.
Oh, just dropped my
phone. Is that better?
Yeah, you had mentioned some of the things that the judge had said to you.
So he told me to quit school and get a job. He told me that if I wanted to be a single mom, I should have adopted a child. He told me that I was obsessed with my daughter. He looked me right in the eyes and said, "What would you do if I took away full custody and handed it to her dad? And how would you feel about that?" And I said, "I'd be devastated." And he said, "Well, that would be too bad."
Oh my gosh.
He just, everything was an attack towards me. And when we brought up the fact that Jeff was out partying and doing drugs and all this stuff, he got married 9 days before the court case to make him look like a stable father. And it worked in the judge's eyes. He did no wrong. And when we brought up all of that, they said, he said, "Well, he got married now, so he's over that. He's grown up, so you can't ask any more questions or bring that up anymore." So just everything. He told me if I didn't hand her over, he's thrown mothers in jail for less. He said was awful. He handed him custody, 50-50 custody. Jeff would have her every Monday at 6 to Thursday at 6, and then the third weekend of the month, he'd have her Saturday at 9 a.m. to Sunday at 6 p.m. And then 3 months later, it was supposed to go to week on, week off. And we had expert witnesses that said that this would be detrimental to Lily, that being off and being away from me that long would be horrible, detrimental to her and her development. And he said, "I don't care. You can pay anybody to say anything." And he deemed these as expert witnesses in his courtroom. So it was just, and so when we went back, he took away the week on, week off. So it stayed the same her entire life. And the first time we noticed a sign of abuse was in April 2010. Lily came home with a burn mark, and it was a little circle, and it kind of looked like a cigarette, and they smoked. We knew that. But when I asked what happened, they said that the spark from the fire had gotten caught in the hood of her sweatshirt and burnt her neck. So I took pictures, I documented everything I was supposed to. And because there was no priors to that, I believed them, kind of. But in the back of my mind, I kind of thought it was suspicious. And then she started coming home with more marks, scratches, bruises. And every time I asked, they'd say the dog jumped her, or the kids were playing rough, or she's clumsy. And Lily was not that child. All kids fall when they're learning to walk, but that wasn't her. She was so graceful on her feet. She fell once in my care, and I documented that as well. I was trying to build a case. I knew that if I went back in front of the judge the way that he treated me, he would take away full custody and Lily wouldn't ever be with me. And so it was awful watching her go through that and not being able to do anything because our courts don't the time. And it was, and so from Renee, stepmom, that she fell while Renee was cleaning the bathroom and hit her eye on the corner of something. And she said, you can come over and see her. Her neighbor was a paramedic or something. She's like, I've already had her checked out by him. He says she's fine, but if it'll put you at peace of mind, you can come over and see her. So my mom and I flew down there, and it looked like Tyson had punched her in the face. And we could pictures documented, and leave. I got her back the next day, but I had to leave my baby with them, and so November 2010, 2 weeks before she was killed, she came back and she had another black eye, and they weren't going to say anything to me. And I looked at his parents because they were usually the ones picking her up and dropping her off. And I said, what the hell is going on? I said, what is this one from? And they said, Renee's hip gave out and she fell on her in the Sprint store. And so when you would ask Lily, who was 2, what?
Yeah, she's cutting out and it's freezing up. Huh? Should we? I don't want to end this feed because this is a. I wonder if Lauren, I don't know if Lauren, if you can hear this, if you can just re-invite yourself back in. Because this is a story, there's some of the stuff I had on her end. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so if Lauren can send another invite if she can hear this. This is a really, really important story to share. This judge, there we go. I'm glad that Lynette brought up his name. I just can't believe that it makes me so mad. There we go. It's adding her. It takes a second. I'm getting so mad. Sorry, Lauren.
No, I'm sorry. That's my fault.
Now I can hear you perfectly. So she was...
Turn off all Wi-Fi.
Oh, that's what it was.
It'll work better now.
So she, the judge, what did I last hear? What was the last thing that you were kind of talking before it cut you off? It was, because it was cutting up quite a bit.
Did you hear any of the black eyes or anything?
That's where I was last hearing everything.
Okay.
You confronted him.
Did you hear, let me see. Did you hear all the first black eye where she fell in the bathroom?
I caught some of it, but it was breaking up. So if you want to start from there, where...
Okay. So, Renee called and I was allowed to come over and see her after her first black eye. And they explained it away that she fell in the bathroom and hit her eye on the corner of something. And so we went and saw her. And then 2 weeks before she died, she got a second black eye.
Jeez.
I asked the grandparents, his parents, what happened this time. And they said that Renee had fallen on Lily in the Sprint store. We need to ask Lily what happened. and she was 2 years old at the time, she'd say, Renee fell on me in the Sprint store. So it was kind of frustrating in our eyes because we knew she was being coached. No 2-year-old knows what a Sprint store is.
Yeah, I was going to say it sounds coached.
Yeah. So my mom ended up calling every single Sprint store in that area, and there was no record of her falling. They would have had to make a record. If somebody falls on your property, usually the store has to do it. So she came home with us, and we documented the bruises again. And then finally, the Thursday before she passed, she came home and she had bruises on her back and her sides and her arms. And I said, screw it. I'm not listening to the system anymore. I don't care what the judge does to me. I'm going in and I'm fighting for my daughter. So I documented everything. I called them and I said, what happened this time? And Renee answered, and she said, my hip still hurts, and I was laying on the couch, and Isabella, who was her daughter that was 2 years older than Lily, they were in the bedroom, and they were climbing on the table, and they fell off the table. And I said, you know what, you guys are saying she's clumsy. I'm just going to take her to the doctor and get her checked out. And Renee was like, okay, that's a good idea. She said, she's been having accidents and pooping her pants too. And I said, she's never had an accident with me. She's had one pee accident and that was it. And she's like, well, just ask the doctor. And I said, okay. And she said, you know, this custody arrangement isn't working. We need to figure out what's best for Lily. We need to get along for Lily's sake. And I said, I agree. I said, I've been telling you guys that for years and nobody's listening to me.
Renee said that to you?
2 days before she died. And so I said, I'm going to take her to the doctor tomorrow. So I called the doctor the next day, and they were closed. So I vowed for Monday that I would take her to the doctor. And Saturday morning came around. It was his weekend. We got up, and she knew the routine. And she had lucky terms with my dad that morning. We got in the car, and it was like a 45-minute drive, and Jeff texted and asked to meet at a different location because he was running late. And we pulled in, and he parked really far away, and he walked up to the car, and she was crying, and said, Mommy, please don't make me go. And I said, I'm so sorry. I said, I promise one day soon you will not have to go. And she was clinging to me and clawing at me, trying to stay with me. And I said, I love you, baby, and I'll see you tomorrow. And I handed her over, and he just stood there looking at me and my dad, and that never happened. And it was weird because he handed her back and said, give Mama one more hug. And I gave her a hug, and I said, I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow night. And he walked away. And I told my dad, I said, I'm done. I'm done doing this. I don't care what he does to me. And so every time that she was at her dad's, I'd try to keep myself busy. During the week, I'd go to work on those 3 days and work my butt off, and so that I could save my money for her. But the weekends, this weekend in particular, I was going Christmas shopping and dropping off some toys at my cousin's house, and so making room for Christmas. And at 3:01, I got a call in the stocking stuffer aisle at Walmart, and this was after my mom had called me and sent me a picture of this 3-foot Christmas stocking. They were on their way up north, and she picked one up, and she said, start buying stocking stuffers. And I picked up the phone when I saw that it was Jeff, and I said, hello, and he said, there's been an accident, get to the Macomb General Hospital right away. And I said, what happened? And he said, Renee fell on Lily in the shower, and you just need to get there. So I left my cart, and he hung up. I left my cart, and I sped walk out to the car, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm not letting her go again. It's a broken leg, broken arm. He's not ever getting her again. And he kept calling me, and I called my mom, and I said, I've got to go to the hospital. And she said, stop at the house. Uncle Chris is there. He'll jump in his car and go. He'll drive you. And she's like, we're on our way, which was 4 hours away. And so I kept calling, and he kept hanging up. He'd say, just get here, and where are you? And said it's rush hour traffic, already an hour and a half away. And then after he hung up on me a couple times, I called the hospital, and I said, I'm Lily's mom. I said, she's there, and I'm trying to get there as fast as I can. I said, but I just want to know what's going on. And she said, she put me on hold and then came back, and she said, I'm sorry to tell you this, but you need to get here as fast as you can. They've been back there for an hour, and she has no pulse. And so I gave my phone to my cousin and just told her to call everybody she could to ask them to pray. And we pulled up to the hospital, and he was standing outside her sperm donor. Because he's not even her father. He doesn't deserve that title, and he was outside smoking. And I saw him, and I said, I stepped out of the car, and my knees gave out. I think I do, but I said, is she okay? And he said, no. And I said, is she alive? And he said, no. And so they took us in the hospital. My uncle had to go park the car, so they took me into a back room, and his parents were in there. And they didn't know, so I had to tell them. And then the doctor came in and said, after my uncle got there, and he told us that they did everything they could, but she was too far gone. And my family started arriving. And, my mom got there, my dad, my brother, and it was just awful. And then the detective came in, and she said, what was Lily wearing that day? Did you wipe her that morning when she went to the bathroom? Was there any blood? Was it normal? And my mom looked at her and said, why are you asking these questions? She said she was severely sexually abused right before she died. We got to go home after that, and I can remember sitting in the car and just in our garage, and I didn't want to go outside because she was never coming home. And it's not fair. But my hopes is that she's never forgotten.
No.
Hope that her story saves some other people's lives and makes them speak up, because I wake up every day regretting not giving up on the system sooner. And it's not fair. I've met so many amazing people, you being one of them. And I'm sorry to say, but I would give anything to have her back. And it's just hard. I see my kids growing up, and they're never going to know their sister other than in stories. And my niece, she talks about Lily like she's her best friend, and it's awful to not be able to see them play together and grow up together. And I mean, we're lucky. Renee was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Her dad's still walking around, which he doesn't deserve to be out, but it's just, I see so many stories where they don't get it.
No.
They don't get prosecuted, and it's I wouldn't be where I am today if Renee was out. That's one thing I'm thankful for, is the detectives and the paramedics and everybody that was by Lily's side that day, because I know that they did everything they could, and that the detective Renee Yak, she did everything she could to get her justice, and I wouldn't be where I am today without them and all of you and every single supporter you guys have got the last 7.5 years.
Even though I know this story, there's some details that I didn't know about, but I just feel like I had a sledgehammer hit on my head right now, hearing it all over again. It is so sad, and I'm so sorry for everything that you've been through. There is really not much. I can hear Siobhan crying her head off in the background hearing this. It's really hard for her because, as you know, she just lost her daughter. Different circumstances, but so that's the story of what happened to Lily. And obviously this is a most unjust story, one of the most, well, as you said, there's so many of them, and if Lily's story can save one child. I'm sorry, I'm so distracted because she's crying. And I don't blame you, Siobhan, I'm sorry. I know that you've helped a lot of people, and that's the thing that amazes me the most about you, is I've watched it as the years go by, all the things that you've done for so many people, children. And you know, I mentioned in a previous post just some of the things that you've done, and for me, sharing, people probably think you're crazy for sharing the fact that your daughter was raped, or that your daughter, personally, you know, because I share everything. But for me, it's like, if I can share the story and help one person, then I'm doing my job. But it also helps me to, like, get through, you know, this is, I can't even remember, my lawyer mentioned it the other day, I don't know how many years later, since it's 2007 when it happened, 2008. And I don't think I'll ever get over it, you know, even though she's still here, because she's never going to get over it. She has been diagnosed with PTSD and anxiety disorder, depression. It just lives with you forever. But for me, one thing that does help me is sharing her story and networking with other parents that have gone through injustice in the courts, and doing what I can to help parents that are going through situations. I think that you kind of are doing that same thing. Does that help you emotionally get through? Because you've been nonstop since I met you.
It does. Just keeping her memory alive and helping other kids in her name. Kids that have never met her are always, they'll talk about her, like, do you like Grace, for instance. She'll never get to meet her cousin, but her best days are the days she gets to wear her Lily shirt. And she will take off her jacket so fast and say, TT, look at, I'm wearing Lily. She's on my back. Isn't this a cool shirt? She's so proud. And even people that aren't related to us.
Yeah.
Just knowing, yesterday I almost ran a car off the road because they had a Lily magnet on their car, and I was trying to see who it was. And I the person, and it's just all these people that I don't know that are supporting her. And there's still people in my hometown that don't know her story, and I'm like, how do people in Australia know her story?
Right.
And you in my hometown and you don't. But we want to try to reach everyone, and doing these things helps us more than it probably helps these foster children or anybody on Facebook, because it helps us keep her alive, and
yes,
it's like still a piece of her here.
I'll never forget Lily. Never. And I know that, like, my friends that I've made from Justice for Lily, I love them, and you know, they'll always be a part of my Justice for Lily core friends. I'm getting distracted by comments a little bit, but can you tell us? I mean, because I know you've done, through Justice for Lily, has done so many things to help not just other children, but like raising awareness and stuff. But do you mind sharing what you've done in Lily's name? I know you do the foster children.
Yeah.
But you do much more.
Yeah, we do awareness events. So we do fun events like we'll have the movie night in the park.
Yeah.
We have softball. We have the Princess Ball is our
Yeah.
biggest. We just try to do events to make people aware. And each event, almost every single event, we've had somebody come up and say, I had no clue about her story. And so that just reaches out to more people.
Yeah.
We do pinwheels at the library. We put up 1,825 pinwheels for all the children that have died this past year. We get that number from 5 children a day on average die. So we times that by the days of the year. We do this year, this is the first time that we're talking about it, but we are doing a commercial before our local movies. We're doing a commercial for Lily. So that'll reach, I think it's 60,000 people while they're sitting there waiting for their movies to start. So that'll be the end of April, beginning, or throughout May.
That's awesome.
We're super excited about that.
That's really exciting.
I'm sorry, I'm like not able to think right now of everything. It's been crazy. I know that Heather and my mom and some of the Lily committee's watching, so if you guys can think of anything and see that. But
and not to mention, like, how many days was it after the new baby was born that you were out there helping foster children get? I just couldn't believe it.
I think.
Did you just jump right out of the hospital and start?
I got in trouble by my mom because I called. I have my babies at home, and I was not used to being in the hospital, and they told me 24 hours I'd be out. Well, it was like more like 30, and I was chomping at the bit to get home to Grayson, and I looked at Josh after 24 hours. Well, I should have brought my foster book and just done fosters if they were going to keep me here forever. My mom's like, stop, they know what they're doing. So I got home the next day, and the packages were waiting at my doorstep of foster presents. So I just started bringing them in and opening them, and my mom's screaming at me, that's more than 5 pounds, you can't lift that. So it was 24 hours, or probably 36 hours after I had her.
That's so crazy, but that shows that says so much about you.
Until I went into labor, they did a little sprinkle that morning. And I said, we need to get back to work because this baby can come at any moment. And I was appreciative of everything they did for me, but and it was hard. Like, it's always hard when her sperm donor's family like attacks us and says that we take money from Justice for Lily.
I saw that.
We don't help the community or anything like that, because we do. And Mom, no swearing in the comments. Of being Grayson being my only child here, and I hate saying that because I don't never want Lily to think that she's not. I don't think of her as my child, because she is, but I never had to share my time with her. I never had to share my time with Grayson.
Right.
I to a prepartum depression because I would call my mom all the time and say, I'm not ready to share my time with him. And I think it was because I was focusing so much on the fosters that I didn't have a lot of time with him. And so it really hurts when people say that I don't care or that I take from them or I don't do anything, because I gave up those 2 months with my son, with him being my only one, to the fosters, and that's how much it meant to me.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was always with me, but it wasn't the same as when you can sit down and just play with them all the time. So
right.
It was just it was hard, but it was worth it. I mean, over 350 kids got Christmas that morning that they wouldn't have got, and to know that Angel Lily provided them with a Christmas is
right. I love that. Yeah, I was really like, even though like we've never met in person, I was so proud of you. And I saw, like, I was disappointed in that I started following that Lapeer group just because of that comment made, just so I could go in there and try to say something. And then what do you see is just not, oh, is the next day you were in labor, I think, or
Yeah,
had the baby the next day?
well,
I'm like, did that
I
start her labor?
I was having contractions all day, and then when I showed my husband that, I'm like, oh my gosh, these are getting really bad. So I like laid down, and then I woke up an hour later, and I was like, called the hospital. I'm like, I think I might be in labor, but I don't want to drive an hour and a half if I'm not. And they're like, just come in, and I was. I had her 4 hours later, so it
Wow.
it was definitely, I was kind of trying to get through Foster's and not wanting to believe I was in labor, but I don't know. She's perfect. Grayson's perfect, and
They
I
are.
love her sister every day, so.
I remember the first time when you had Grayson and I was going, you shared the photos of him after he was born. I cried so hard. I cried. I couldn't even see looking at those photos of his birth because I was so happy for you. Not that he's of course he's rainbow baby. And then same with, do you mind sharing how you got the name for your daughter? How you just decided on the name for Allie?
So Allie's name is Alea. We wanted something. Lily, before she died, she found her Christmas present from my mom. On almost all of them, and my mom said, well, that was kind of, I think, something from God, because maybe he knew she wasn't going to be here. And so she found this American Girl doll that my mom had gotten in Chicago.
Oh.
And she was like, oh my gosh, Amma, thank you so much. And Lily, like, oh my goodness. So and one day I said, Lily, what's your baby doll name? And she said, Allie. And we didn't know an Allie. We didn't know anybody named anything close to that. So,
wow.
Oh, okay. And then she passed. And I still have her American Girl doll, Allie. And the kids have destroyed her hair. I got to take her to the American Girl shop or whatever. But when we found out we were having a girl, before that, when we were having Grayson, we had names picked out, and we knew it was going to be Grayson if it was a boy, and Alea if it was a girl. And he ended up being a boy, and this is going to sound bad, but I was devastated. I wanted that mother-daughter bond again.
Yeah.
And I got him, and I thank God every day that he gave me him, because I think that I would have compared them too much.
Right.
Lily, if Grayson was a girl. And so I got my boy, and he's perfect, and then Allie came. So it was our way of letting Lily name the baby.
And that's how you came up with the name of your daughter.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I'm not trying to switch gears, but your mom said, tell about her love of Jesus and the statue at the church. I actually was good. That was one of the questions. I have a list of things in case we missed something. And that you have so many stories about Lily, along with videos that I love so much. Like, I love them. And actually, Angela, that did that 9-minute, close to 10-minute YouTube video that has, that's like one of the most amazing videos I've ever seen put together, because it has the videos in there and the clips. It was just put together so perfectly. I've watched it 100 times plus, and I've probably cried every single time. But your mom says to tell about her love of Jesus and the statue at the church. That I think she was talking about the same thing that I was thinking of asking you about.
Yeah, so Lily and I went to church. We tried to go every Sunday. And so her love of Jesus, Christmas Mass, my friend had to stop her up to the altar because she was running down the aisle saying, "Happy birthday, Jesus." She was so good at church. She would always talk to the people next to us, and she would sing. She just loved church.
And cute.
There's a statue outside of our church for all of the aborted babies. And we were leaving church one day, and she had her baby doll in her hand, and I said, we walked past the statue, and she said, "Mama, what's that for?" And I said, "That's for all the babies that their mommies decided not to have them." And she said, "But you had me?" And I said, "Yes, I did, honey." And she said, "Oh, okay." And she gave me her baby doll and went over to the statue and prayed by the statue. And I was just blown away by her compassion. And she said, "Thank you, Mommy, for having me."
Yeah.
And it was just, she just had so much compassion for life. And then I see my mom said Ann Zane story. So
Yeah.
our Lily event was a pizza party. It was a month after she died. And this little boy who we're still in contact with, he comes in with this wooden box and he says, I just wanted to tell you that Lily saved my life. And I looked at him, and come to find out, he was abused as a child, and he was contemplating suicide. And he saw my story on the Lily story and my story on the news, that I would never want my mom to go through that. And he spoke at our Princess Ball one year. He has been at almost every single event. He's been one of our biggest
Wow.
supporters, and he's grown into an amazing young man. And so it's amazing to hear all the people that Lily either saved their life or has changed their lives. And it's just a tribute to her. So
Yeah, and she's really like, I mean, I was aware that my children were going through abuse and stuff, but I don't think I knew exactly everything that they had endured when I found out about Lily. And I tell everybody, like, besides what happened to my children, Lily has been like my motivation for sharing child abuse awareness stories. And I don't know why that her story just really, really stood out to me. And it's not that they all don't, they're all horrible, but
yeah,
I think it's because you shared so much and you're so personal. And we got to see a lot of her photos and how well she was taken care of by you and how unfair the judge was. And I don't know, it's a combination of a lot of things that just, it caught my eye, especially all the photos that I saw of her that you had on your page. I was just, you could see she was so loved from the second, probably before she was born, obviously, but from the second she was born, like the birth photos you have, excuse me, with Lily, it just caught a lot of attention. I think the friends that I've met from Justice for Lily and I all share the same love for her, even though we don't know her.
yeah.
There's something wrong with my screen. Video cut off.
Can you hear me?
I can see you. Some other people see me. Video frozen, audio okay. I think she lost her video. I can only see her. Video's turned off. I didn't turn off the video.
I can see you. You're just...
Yeah, I can see you perfectly. We can hear both of you though. Lauren's video's fine. I don't know what's going on. No, you lost video. Well, if you're able to comment, it's not completely lost. It's okay because we can hear you. Okay, so
I just wanted people to like know her like I knew her. I wanted them to know, like, yes, her story is heartbreaking and hard, but she isn't defined by her story.
right.
She was this amazing little that loved Glee and Barney and gymnastics, and she could have changed the world, and
yeah,
that was all taken. And I want people to know that it's not something like, if you come into our house, you see Law and Order on the TV almost all the time if Josh is sitting on the couch. So we watch those shows, and I never imagined it happened to us. Like, I was a senior in college. I had just graduated from college, and I went back to school to be a teacher so that we'd have the same schedule. Like,
wow.
I had this, that it was just, you never thought it would happen. Even with all the abuse going on that we knew about and that we couldn't do anything about, you never, I don't know, you just never think it'll happen to you. And then it does. And then you hear about all these other stories, and you hear about all these other people, and it's awful. I mean, we've met some amazing families and amazing people, and it's horrible, and people just want to sweep it under the rug and hide it. And it shouldn't be hidden. It shouldn't you shouldn't be afraid to speak up for a child. You shouldn't be afraid to trust your gut. And
Right.
if parents can learn one thing, it's not to play games. Do not, when you're mad at your ex, do not make a claim of abuse if it's not happening. If it's
Right.
happening, then go ahead, make that claim. But if you're just mad because they didn't give you child support, or they have a new girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, do not make a claim, because that hurts everybody else in the system.
Yeah.
Because they'll take the time for the child, but they will not take the time for the child that is actually being harmed. And it's awful. And but I just wanted people to know Lily, because I feel like if you know Lily and you love Lily, you're more apt to fight for kids like her.
That's so true. That actually summarizes how I feel about what I was trying to say earlier about Lily. Like, that's how I feel. That's exactly, you just said it. You said exactly how I feel. So, and do you mind sharing a little bit of how, life is now? And, you talked about Grayson and the new baby, and you've got a new, well, I'll start with your husband, and not new, he hasn't been that new, but in your life now, basically. Your whole family, I just wish I knew your whole family, because they're just so supportive. I do. And I think everybody that doesn't know you guys personally, or on a personal level, like, all feel the same way, because we all see the same thing. Is your family's amazing. You have the best support system anybody could ever ask for. Like, I envy, but not in a jealousy way, but it's like your brother, your mother, your father, they're just so, your sister-in-law. I mean, it's just, I love how you refer to her as your sister, and just everybody, how they just are rallying around you all the time, no matter what. It's just so cool to see that your family, and they participate. I saw your dad participating in, when December, the month when you were working on the foster children, like, your whole family is a part of it.
Yeah, my mom, I put up front, I really don't like her. It's always been that way. Our family has always been close, and I can remember at the afterwards, her sperm donor claimed that were incestuous, because my brother, and then I got up and gave Lily's eulogy, and we gave each other a kiss in between passing each other when we walked out. And I just could not believe, I was appalled at that, because we've always been the family that gives hugs and kisses and shows affection towards each other, is always there for everything. My brother was at every single gymnastics meet. I was at all of his baseball games. Like, we were always there for each other. And my first weekend up at college away, he came up there and stayed with me because I was homesick, and we just were there. And he housed me for a semester up at college, from Monday night to Wednesday night, because I was commuting hours so that I could be home with Lily on the day that we had her. And it's always been that way. And then when she joined our family, she joined in June, the year Lily died. So she was in our family for 5 months before Lily passed. Lily called her Aunt Tet, so I hate saying sister-in-law, because it's not just by law. We always tease Michael, if anything ever happened to them, we'd choose her over him. But we're all so close. And then Josh came along, and I knew he was the person for me, because I had dated other people after Lily died, and some of them said, like, I'm done hearing about this. I don't want to hear you. That's all you talk about. And I was like, okay, see ya. Like, if you can't accept my daughter and her story and me talking about her, that's the way that I deal with my grief. And Josh was the opposite. He was just, I want to know more about her. I don't ever get to meet her, so I want to know who she is. You're letting me. And so then Grayson came and I tell him every day, you're the best thing that's ever happened to me. And then I tell Lily, I probably sound like a crazy person because I talk to her out loud too, and I don't ever want her to think that she wasn't the best thing. But with Lily, she came as a surprise, and I didn't need hope restored in me any. I guess like I was already happy, and then she just added the happiness. Whereas Grayson came when I was broken, and
Yeah.
he taught me that I could believe in happily ever after again, and he's just my perfect. And so then Allie came, so just the happiness keeps coming. And since Allie's been here since a couple months before, like with all Grayson's testing and him being put on the autism spectrum, and Allie having club feet, and it's just like, oh my goodness, it's a lot, but I don't ever want to have to choose one of my children, whether it be Grayson's autism or Allie's club feet or Lily's story and Justice for Lily. So it's always busy and crazy, and but it's still an amazing life, and I never thought I would ever say that again. My kids, family have all given that to me, and I sleep with I call it Little Bear, so I still get to sleep with part of her. My brother gave it to me the day with a poem, the day that I had to let her go for the first time. So those are just, I mean, people that know us know that my brother's this big jokester, that he's just always trying to make everybody laugh. And he wrote this poem and gave me that when I needed it the most. And he's my baby too. He's my baby brother. So it's just all these people that are surrounding me, and aunts and uncles and cousins and friends and supporters that I've never met. They're what get me through this life. And I've always been writing. I write to get through my grief. And I read a page that I wrote 7 years ago, and I said, I don't believe in happily ever after. And then to see how far that I've come since that I wrote that page, it's like,
Wow.
I do now. I believe that Lily dying was my storm, but I've gotten so many rainbows after that storm, and she's still a part of my life. And it's just, I don't, she's a part of my life still every day. I know she's still here. I don't blame God for what happened. I know that there's evils in this world, and I know that he gives us all free will, and Renee chose to use that to take my most important person from me. But
that's a very important statement.
So,
because a lot of people do, and it's understandable. Like, even in our case, I was like, why would you let this? It took me forever to figure out. He did not let that happen. It wasn't his. I did blame him. I admittedly blamed him for a long time. But I think what you just said is such an important statement that you don't. You can't blame God in these situations.
Yeah, and it's hard. Like, I've called my mom crying these last couple months and saying, why does he trust me so much to give me all of this on my plate? And she's just like, you're gonna get through it, and it's gonna be okay. And it's been a lot, but I wouldn't be where I am without him, and I wouldn't be where I am without my faith. And I don't go to church as much anymore, but I feel like I want to teach my kids about God. I want to teach my kids about Lily. I want to teach my kids about everything possible, so that they're kind and compassionate, and they open their eyes. The monsters are people,
right?
Not people, but to just know that there are bad people out there, but most are good and kind and compassionate. And I want to raise them right, and I want them to know their sister. And I couldn't do that without all the people that are out there fighting for Lily and supporting her.
There's so many. I remember when this story first started out, Carol and I, that's how I met her. Because she goes by Carol Lynn, you know which Carol Lynn. And I remember her and I just, you would set like a certain amount, like let's get to this number with Justice for Lily's page. and we would just go crazy trying to share it absolutely everywhere. And it wasn't like
It
this
popped
place.
up, and it was like 5 years ago, it was like 10,000 supporters, and now we're up over 100,000. It's like, oh my
Crazy.
gosh, like we were just trying to get 10,000 at that
Right.
point, and it's amazing. All the people that love her that never met her, and that's what keeps us going.
From everywhere
There's no
too.
out there.
Notices from all over the world. People know who Lily is and know her story. And at the end of this live, I'm gonna add. I don't know if I'm gonna add justice for Lily's page if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
And then because there are people that don't know about Lily, and then if you don't mind the video that I see I froze. Angela Darden is it Barker? She made that video. That it's a 10-minute video, but it's so worth the watch because it has little. She inserted little video clips of Lily, which are like the sweetest. I love that one where she's standing in the kitchen and you already know probably, where she's playing with the cupboard and want to be a millionaire. That is.
Yeah.
I actually cried the first time I saw that. I don't know why, but it's just so sweet.
And do gymnastics and play outside. She's your typical 2-year-old.
Yes.
To grow up and have all these hopes and dreams, and she was robbed of that. And I think that people need to know that she could have been your child. And
yeah. That's I think we're both on the same page about raising awareness. If one person knows about abuse and doesn't say anything, if you just would open your mouth, you're saving a life. That's why I do these videos and child abuse awareness. Sometimes are really hard for me. I've been having bad dreams lately, but that is, I will keep plugging forward because I want to know. Like in Lily's case, if just one person, and I think it was her dad, or the judge could have, would have, like if they just would have done something, like Lily would still be here. And so with that story, what's that?
I begged his parents something, and they kept saying, we don't see any bruises. And I'm like, she had 22 at one point.
Wow.
You didn't see any of them. And they just kept saying, we don't see anything. She's fine. And it's like, I don't care. I will not keep her from you. And they still wouldn't speak up. And it's like, it's just awful. And I don't go to her grave as much anymore because I know she's not there. I will go there on holidays or something like that, but they have verbally attacked me at her grave on her angelversary. They said that if I knew she was being abused, then I'm the one that killed her because I didn't stand up for her. And they had come up to me and my dad at the funeral and said, we checked her every day. We never saw anything down there. I'm thinking, if you didn't think something was going on, why are you checking?
Yes.
Like, you're the one that told me nothing was going on, and I knew it, but you didn't speak up. And one thing that we want to change eventually is that hearsay to be admissible in court, because we had so many people that could have spoke up. I had an informant on the other side, but because she was getting stories from other people, she couldn't stand up, and that wasn't admissible in court. And it was just, I mean, the stories were awful, and I just sat there and cried because there's nothing we could do, because his parents wouldn't, they were the ones that witnessed it, and they wouldn't speak up. Like Lily was Renee and Jeff's house. His parents showed up. Renee was passed out on the couch. Isabella was 3 at the time, and she was under the sink playing and cleaning supplies. Lily was nowhere to be found, and they found her 2 streets down.
What?
Under the age of 2, walking on the side of the road by herself. And they didn't say a word.
Lily was 2 streets down?
Yep, Lily was 2 streets down in their trailer park. Yep, Renee was passed out, and his parents didn't say a word.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. I thought I knew a lot about this, but that just really, she should have been jacked away from them right then and right there. I can't even believe I'm hearing this. I cannot.
And his dad, Lily, I think his dad was sometimes her saving grace there. But he never wanted to go against his wife, and in the end it cost Lily her life because they wouldn't speak up, and it's hard to know that. And yeah, that my mom just said that's stuff that we were told. Yeah, that's what the informant had told us. And it's just like, if you loved her, why didn't you stand up for her? And I would have done anything. And
right.
All it taken was them to open their mouth, and they didn't.
Oh my God.
So it's just,
I can't believe that.
it's awful to know all the people that pretend to have been there, but when it came down to it, when it was time to speak up, they didn't want to, and they didn't want to hurt feelings, or they didn't want a chance being taken away from her. And I wasn't that person. I would have taken her away from the people that were harming her, not the people that loved her and stood up for her. But
that is mind-blowing. Things need to change in the court systems, and the evidence needs to be allowed in. I won't go into detail on that just because, but evidence, I remember you saying that the judge, some of the things I remember you saying, some of the judge that said to you, and other people have said to you, I just was floored because that could have also saved Lily. I can't believe it. But I won't, let's see, it's 7:04. I won't keep you much longer because I know you're about 2 or 3 hours ahead of me. You're Michigan. So
yeah.
You are a busy
Trisha just put filing first and then going back to her. So a month before Lily was killed, a month and a half, he called me hysterical, saying, "Can you take Lily? Renee and I are getting divorced."
Mm-hmm.
And I played the part of the sympathetic ex, and I just said, "I'm so sorry. I'm here for you. I'll keep Lily if you need me to, so that she's not around that." And I was nice. I mean, I wanted to co-parent with them and to get Lily away from the abusive situation. And he went back to her 2 days later, and I can remember her coming home that night, and we sang a song, "Yay, yay, no more nay," and it was heartbreaking because I lied to her. I thought they were done, and went back to her 2 days later, and it's awful that he chose his wife over his daughter's well-being. And I don't think he was innocent. I honestly think he had a part in all of it, but it's not something I can never prove, and his ignorance and his karma will catch up to him one day. But I don't think he was innocent.
No, because whenever I see cases like this, I kind of Facebook stalk. And he at one point I can't help it because you want to know, like, who is this creep and why didn't they do anything? And so I remember he had at one point had his page open enough for us to see actually quite a bit. And I remember seeing it was like around the weekend or something he had Lily, and it was right before she passed. I had read on his page something about Lily vomiting, and this was like right before she passed, and I had wondered.
I forgot to say, so in the trial, while everything was going on, he showed up higher than a kite, and the judge or the attorney told him to spit his gum out because he was chomping his gum while he was answering questions. He looked like a 5-year-old. And he said They were claiming that Lily got sick, and that's why they were in the shower, her and Renee. And he said that she had vomited on the couch, or she said that Lily vomited on the couch. Well, there was no evidence of that. There was no evidence of anything that Renee had said. There was no blood in the house. It was all cleaned up. Just the way that he acted, the jury afterwards said, why was he not charged? Because we would have found him guilty as well. And because they could ask the judge, the prosecuting attorney, and the defense attorney any question. And that was the only question they had. We would have, why didn't you charge him? Because we would have found him guilty. But I think it was 10 days before Lily was killed. Jeff and Renee, the defense ended their trial with a video of Jeff and Renee in the hospital. And this was the second hospital that they stopped at to try to get pain medication and an MRI. And you can hear him on the video saying, when she falls and hurts one of our children, we're coming back to sue you.
What?
And 10 days later, she fell and killed my daughter.
No.
So I 100% believe this was premeditated. And I think that they were trying to
Oh my gosh, I get what
use the doctor's visit as a way of covering their, excuse my language, asses when it came to what happened to Lily. I think that they planned this whole thing. I think that's why he let her give me one last hug that day.
Oh my gosh.
I think that's just my thoughts, but I mean, what are the chances that 10 days before he says on that video, if she falls and hurts one of my children, we're coming back to you? Like, that
is odd. Yeah, what I saw was he said that she had vomited on the hardwood floors and not a couch. But then her commentary, I can't remember what it was, but it was like so rotten. I don't know if you ever saw that, but something about her having to clean it up and just, I mean, it just made her look like the biggest fool on the planet.
Yeah, she just, I mean, and then in the case, there was no blood, and on crime shows, you'll see this thing called Blue Star, where if there's a presence of blood that was cleaned up, they spray this on wherever they think there may be blood.
Right.
And it'll glow blue once you turn the lights off. And the whole bathroom lit up. There was not a speck of blood. I think there was a couple specks in the bathtub, but the whole bathroom lit up. So that Lily was gone for a long time, laying there as they cleaned up what they did, and they got rid of all of the evidence because I think there was a bottle of Resolve in the trash can, and it just, I think that's one of the parts that hurts the most, is wondering if she could have been saved, because laying there dying, and they wanted to cover their asses and not save my daughter. I really hope karma gets them one day, because what they did it's not fair.
No, I don't believe he deserves a second chance after what happened with Lily. To even have children again, it's just so, I don't know. I just think it's really unfair, and I don't think he should be fit to parent after what happened to Lily, because I feel like in my heart, and I'm not even her parent, that he's guilty.
Sorry, I dropped you.
It happened to me too. It is murder, yeah. So, anyways, well, I'm gonna wrap this up since it's been an hour, but I really, really, really appreciate your time. I honestly didn't think you'd do this, because you are like busy 24/7. I've never seen a more busy person in my life. You do so much for others, and I just really want to thank you and appreciate that you know that I appreciate what you do for other children and parents.
You're amazing.
No, you
for
are.
What you're doing.
I'm grateful that I got to know you. I'm grateful that you, and I've said this in other posts that you've done, I'm grateful that you've allowed us to be people that you haven't met, a part of your life, by just by allowing us to see your children and everything that you've been through. view pictures of Lily, videos, whatever. You've given us access to your life, and I know a lot of us appreciate that because you didn't have to do that. But it also speaks volumes on you as a parent, as a person, and as an advocate. And so, yeah, just personally, I'm really grateful that you've allowed me into that much of your life. So hopefully one day I'll get to meet you.
I hope you're able to come out to the ball one year and
Amanda Salmons.
have a bed. Supporters who want to come from afar.
That's so nice of you to say. I appreciate that.
And we wouldn't be where, on behalf of my whole family, we would not be where we are without all of you guys supporting Lily. So thank you.
Love Lily.
To everyone.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Lauren, and thank you everybody who's been following. And this will probably get shared quite a bit afterwards. You see, I did one with my friend Michael, and it got shared like crazy. So it's good because everybody go to Justice for Lily, please, and click like. And yeah, I'll put the links in here for the video and Lily's page. I don't know if I can do the page. Angela or somebody, can you put the link to Justice for Lily in here? Or even Lynette. Somebody, Amanda, you do it. Put Justice for Lily.
For Lily, and it's Lily.
Yeah. So. And then I'll add the video. But anyways, thank you so much for your time for Child Abuse Awareness this month and sharing your story, Lauren. You're like really candid and did a good job. So thank you so much.
We love you guys, and you guys have a good night.
You too, Lauren, and we love you guys too. Give the babies a hug for me. Kiss that baby for me.
Oh, I was at the door. Josh just like lock the door because they're gonna come in.
Okay.
So the baby probably. So
right. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Lynette, for doing that. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.